Welcome to Gold Coast Insider, where we bring you business insights, stories, opportunities, and forecasts from movers and shakers across the Gold Coast. I'm your host, Estella Rodiguero. I'm CEO of Regional Development Australia Gold Coast. It's my pleasure to introduce and chat to Brett James. Brett is a General Manager of the Southport Yacht Club and is a board member of RDA Gold Coast Regional Jobs Committee. He is also a member of the Southport Chamber of Commerce and is a zone rep for the Gold Coast on Clubs Queensland. Brett began his career as golf director at Sanctuary Cove and Emerald Lakes and has over 20 years' experience in hospitality and sports management. In 2009, Brett ventured to Christchurch to develop Pegasus Town, a vibrant and thriving community with a championship golf and sports club. With his love for golf, Brett became a golf professional in 2000, playing at major tournaments all across the globe, whilst living in the United Kingdom, Japan, America, and New Zealand. Brett returned back to Australia in 2012 and took on the role of General Manager at the Southport Yacht Club. Having now lived on the Gold Coast for 40 years, Brett has a great passion for our wonderful city and sees great potential in future progression, truly believing the Gold Coast is the best place on earth. Welcome, Brett. Good to speak to you.
Yes, thanks, Estella. Thanks for having me.
You're most welcome. Now, Brett, you are the General Manager of the Southport Yacht Club. Now, the Southport Yacht Club has absolutely grown immensely, hasn't it? Do you want to talk us through that growth?
Yeah, sure. Like I just finished 10 years last week I just turned. So it's definitely been a learning curve, not only for me, but also the Yacht Club. We've got 4 venues now over the Gold Coast. We do the most disabled sailing and youth sailing in the country with over 10,000 kids and disabled. And we do 24 schools now out of our site at Oxenford. So we've got a site at Oxenford which does all schools, which is in a really good location. And then we have our Ducks, which is our private island retreat over on South Stradbroke Island. Then we've got our Holywell Sailing Squadron up at Holywell, Runaway Bay area with over 100 boats on trailers and dinghies there. And also do our elite kids, along with have an Australian sailing venue also at that site. And then the main beach, which is sort of the heartbeat of all 4 facilities, definitely the largest, with a large marina and a big food and beverage operation. So yeah, there's always something going on.
So with that expanded growth, there must be a increase in your turnover. So how's that growing? And I guess, and also in your staffing.
Yeah, I think the staff, well, the 10 years, the revenue's doubled to over $15 million now. And then staffing too, we're over 150 staff here now. So it's been a combination. Obviously, the marine industry is very strong. So we have over 400 boats just on the wait list to get into the marina now.
Wow.
So that's something good to have. And then our food and beverage. I think the main beach clubhouse is probably the best venue on the Gold Coast. It's the only venue of 1 or 2 that faces north on the water. You can watch the sun set and rise. And the F&B, we've got some great chefs here now, and it's just taken it to a new level. So a lot of growth in F&B and marine has probably contributed to the turnover. And I think now that the food and beverage is at a great level, our membership has seen a huge growth.
Okay, so one of the things that we're getting rapidly known for, and which I think is one of the most exciting things for our city, is that back in February 2022, I actually was there for the official opening of the Mega Yacht Berth. And this is the Gold Coast. Well, and basically I think I've read that the Gold Coast is the number 1 super yacht destination in the country. Do you want to talk us through that? Like, that's an amazing berth.
Yeah, I think the club was very fortunate to have the state government and council and obviously Southport Yacht Club all fund this facility. It's the largest floating marina berth in the country of 160 metres. And with the expansion of Boatworks and Gold Coast City Marina up at Coomera investing hundreds of millions of dollars in boat repairs and boat building. It's just a perfect area because in the past, super yachts would go pretty much directly from Sydney to Cairns and skip the Gold Coast. So now with this berth, we can cater for vessels up to 135 metres, where in the past the biggest berth was only 65 metres, which was also at Southport Yacht Club, but there was only one. So I think now we've been able to open up to the world. I've been very lucky to be able to go to Fort Lauderdale Boat Show and see the economics of what super yachts bring to the town, not just where they berth, but the money that these boats are spending within the city is just next level. So now we're all set to go. We have 6 50-metre berths and then obviously our large berth, the mega yacht berth, and then we have a 65-metre berth. But also other yacht clubs now in the area and marinas are starting to realise that we need to cater for these boats because there's definitely more coming and we don't have the room to park them.
Do you have a waiting list at all on any of your berths?
For the mega and super yachts, no. So we actually don't have them as a permanent berth. So we need to keep them open. I mean, the council and government haven't invested this money for us just to park one boat there. Yeah. We have had interest from wealthy boat owners that are happy to take the berth, but it's not the right thing for the club to do and also not the reason why it was built. So at some times you can come here and there'll be none, and then other times you'll come in and they'll all be full. So they're for transit vessels that are coming from overseas, Sydney or going past. We need to really make sure we have a berth open for any boat that's going past. So that's the reason why it's a little bit touch and go. And also these owners, they make their mind up. You know, they can change their mind whenever they like. They have the ability to do that. They've got full crews on the vessels. And if they want to stop, they will. If they want to change their mind a couple of days out, they will as well. So it's always just important to have a few open so that we don't miss any.
So what's the value proposition that they bring to the Gold Coast when you have them berthed here?
Yeah, I think you do get bad publicity when people see, wealthy people coming to the Gold Coast with these 80-metre vessels and the club's the only one that's going to make money with the fuel and the berthing, but it's not the case. So the Gold Coast is really great for boats to come here and the crew to relax. So these boats have between 10 and 30 crew on each boat, and they will spend on average $2,000 a day per crew member while they're here on the Gold Coast. So everyone thinks that when the crew get here, normally they hop off the boat and go get a hotel room to start with. They've got money to spend because they've been on the boat for months and they enjoy themselves. And with the way the Gold Coast is set up, we can walk to the beach from the Yacht Club. You can hop on light rail and go up and down the whole Gold Coast. It's just ideal. And the security is a big thing. Gold Coast, it's the security's good. It's a safe place to come. And the Broadwater, well, at the moment, they can get in and it's quite easy to get their boat in and out. So that's just the crew. Then it's nothing for these boats to be spending $5,000 a day on flowers.
What? You're kidding.
No, so you think of all the other little things they've got to feed the crew on the boat. Trucks turn up with alcohol, food, meat, seafood. But even the little things like flowers, people don't realise that the money, they have fresh flowers every day on the boat. And when their owners are in town, then it goes to another level as well.
But it's spectacular to drive down that road and absolutely see these wonderful, great big super yachts sitting there. Like, it is such a beautiful thing to be able to just watch, just to see.
Well, I think we haven't had a big one to the Gold Coast. I mean, people see the ones that we have here and they're 50 metres. The biggest one we had was 72, which was Dragonfly. That was a nice boat, but it's not a large volume boat. I mean, when we get to go to Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, there's 1,000 super yachts on display. So we're seeing 50 metres here and we're going, wow, that's big. Wait till we get to a 100-metre or even an 80-metre one. They're just next level.
And when we get there, though, are they showing an interest in coming now?
Yeah, definitely. We opened up a little bit late due to Queensland after COVID. We were the last state to open. So that did put the industry back a year, I believe. Last Fort Lauderdale boat show, we have two boats coming. So they're both 50 metres. And just to give you an idea, there was a lady in probably in her 60s come up to the stand and mentioned that she's coming to Australia. She actually owns an apartment at Main Beach, and she's chartering a 50-metre boat for 2 years to go around Australia.
Oh,
So when you think of spend, you're probably looking at a couple $100,000 a week to have a 50-metre boat. So she obviously is a wealthy lady, but that's just two that we know of that are coming, and she's definitely going to come to the Gold Coast because she has an apartment across the road. So those things, it is wealth.
yep.
But when they get here, they spend,
They spend.
and they probably spend. A super yacht has been known to spend more than a cruise ship.
Wow.
Cruise ship, because normally when cruise ships go to venues, they own all the businesses that everyone goes and does. But here, when a super yacht comes in, it's they might hop on a helicopter, go to Tambourine Mountain, do a winery. So things like that, they're high-end clients.
Yeah. Is it still the case that you have it's a clearing place for?
Yeah, we're customs clearance here, which is we've had that for a few years now. Angie Bell was able to get that done, completed for the club, which is a great coup. So when these clubs are coming in from overseas, some used to have to go to Bundaberg or Sydney, like they can come direct here from New Zealand. And we actually have a sailing race that leaves soon from New Zealand. We've got 15 yachts. So just don't think that they're all big super yachts, but we've got 15 sailing boats coming from New Zealand, and they'll clear customs here. So they can clear in and out of the country from Southport Yacht Club.
Oh, that's brilliant. So moving forward, what do you see as the challenges for the Gold Coast?
Challenges are dredging. Is a big key.
Okay.
So we can get 90% of the vessels into the Gold Coast, but dredging needs to continue. And, there are environmental factors that go along with that. But at the end of the day, it's the busiest part of the Gold Coast is from probably the Seaway down to Sundale Bridge, just past our club here. There's also designs for more super yacht marinas to go in. The last thing we want to do is have all these facilities and then a super yacht can't actually get into the Seaway. So, as I said, 90% can get in, but we don't want to be missing out on that 10% either because they'll be the larger ones. And probably just not enough mooring. So the Olympics are coming, 2032. The estimates are that low numbers will be 50 to 100 super yachts will come.
Oh.
So at the moment, the Gold Coast might have 15 berths. So there's going to be issues. They're already talking about just anchoring them in the Brisbane River where, if you have a boat worth a couple $100 million, you've obviously got a wealthy owner on board. The last thing you want them to do is anchor in the Brisbane River. So everyone will be looking at them. And it's, not really a great environment for that sort of owner to be. So, I think the government needs to start looking at approving more marinas.
Okay.
Getting over the environmental factors a lot quicker because it does take a long time to build anything. And really look at, they've spent the money. There's a super yacht plan for Queensland, but if they don't have the berths to park the boats, it's a waste of time.
So I live on the water. I'm one of the lucky ones that, like most of us, we get here and we live on the water. There's so many more boats out. I mean, has boating grown here on the Gold Coast? And it seems like ever since COVID, it's just absolutely gone crazy. Is that the case?
Yeah, I think like everything with COVID that, they're not traveling overseas. They can buy a new car, they can buy a jet ski, they can buy a new boat. And the population of everyone moving to the Gold Coast. So that sort of also brings me back to two things, being able to moor a boat. Let's forget about the super yachts, but it's getting hard to put a jet ski or a small tinny if you need to leave it at a marina anywhere. And also that comes back to dredging. The more people on the water, you need more depth because boats can't pass each other.
Mm-hmm.
They're two factors that the government, the waterways, MSQ, all those governing bodies, need to continue to do.
Yeah. So, okay, then what about the opportunities? I mean, with the, as you've mentioned already, 2032 Olympics, you're going to have some massive super yachts like coming through. But what are the opportunities for the Gold Coast with the that you see coming up?
Well, the way super yachts come and large vessels, they come because of the skipper and they come because they've been here and they've experienced it. So just a few, we've had the owner of Google's boat here. We've had the owner of Amway's two vessels, two super yachts here for 2 years. And they were going up to Papua New Guinea to dive. They could have easily stayed in Cairns, would have been a lot easier for them, but they always came back to the Gold Coast. They love the Gold Coast. As I mentioned before, it's safe, the weather's great, they can get around, they can walk to the beach. Once they come, they all love it here, and then word of mouth. Okay. So, Brisbane's a beautiful place as well, don't get me wrong. There's some great facilities up there. So once they come to this part of the world, they're going to realise and they're going to tell everyone this is where you need to be. Mm. So I think the word of mouth is probably the biggest advocate for us, even though, myself and my waterfront manager, we go to we've just come back from Dubai Boat Show, we do Fort Lauderdale Boat Show. It's great to explain to them, but captains need to come and experience it.
Yeah, yeah.
And we haven't had a bad experience from any captain that's been here. They always either come back. I'm talking when these 50-metre boats are coming from America, it's not a short journey, but they always seem to come back. And I think it's really interesting when they say this is the best part of the world.
Yeah, yeah.
I've done a little bit of travel, I like South Beach, Miami. This is beautiful. This is great. And I'm thinking, surely that's all the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. Surely that's a better spot to park your boat. And they go, no, the Gold Coast is just fabulous. So I think it's a big selling tool for not only just the Gold Coast, Queensland and Australia. Once we get the boats here, then they'll go around Australia.
Absolutely. So if you bring them, by bring them here, the whole of Australia benefit, really, don't they?
Yeah, definitely. And they'll probably do, they'll come through the islands. They'll do New Zealand on the way as well.
I am.
And it's a part of the world that that they haven't been to.
Mm. So what are your thoughts around how can we take advantage of the 2032 Olympics? How can the Gold Coast in general take advantage of the Gold Coast of the Olympics coming?
Well, I think we have a very proactive mayor, so I know he'll be jumping up and down and getting as many events as possible. I think that I haven't really seen much that's come out from the current committee. I'm not sure if there's a water strategy plan around the Olympics, but definitely being able to look at moorings, because we won't have the berths by 10 years' time. If 100 of super yachts come, well, then we just won't have the space for them. So, I mean, I know for the America's Cup for New Zealand, I know that COVID hit them, but they had a couple of 100 super yachts going there, and they organised a strategy to be able to moor them in certain areas and be able to ferry people in and out. So I think the Olympic Committee need to start looking at a water strategy, especially for transportation too. To get people around to events via water. I know the Gold Coast, are looking at those hoppo boats and things like that. So that's probably, and they probably need to also get in contact with Super Yacht Australia and get them focusing on, because they do all the shows throughout the world.
Yep.
The Dubai Boat Show last week, I just came back, there was nothing about the Olympics. So they probably need to get in contact with them and start a strategy together.
Start working on it. So what do you see in the future for the Southport Yacht Club moving forward?
In the super yacht industry?
No, just in general. Let's look at it as a massive industry for the Gold Coast. I mean, I was I was at a breakfast for the International Women's Day, and there was a young girl there who was 14 years old who was sailing for Maritimo or sponsored by Maritimo, and she was amazing, and she had no sailing in her family or in the blood or anything, and she's out there and she's doing these little races out, or little races, I suppose they're not, but yeah. So
Yeah,
it's got to be a whole...
Addison, she's a very special
Yeah.
girl, that one.
Isn't she
Um,
amazing? She was tiny. She was like a little button.
yeah. No, she's got great parents, and she just loves the sport. So
Yeah.
I think the issues that the club has moving forward is that there's a few issues, but like the growth, our clubhouse needs to be rebuilt or re renovated, and the lease at the club too. You know, we have state and council leases, and they need to be a bit more secure because we are on the spit. We are at a part of the world that's only going to get more populated. Main Beach, there's 5 or 6 high rises going up. There's not enough car parking. So, and our membership growth is through the roof. So we need to really come up with a strategy of maybe capping the membership, looking at who we let into the club, or we make the facility larger. So very lucky. We have a great board at the moment, and they're doing a strategy looking at all that and spending the time and effort. So I hope in the next, probably in the next 6 months, we'll have a strategy together which we'll present to our members, and then that we'll get their input on that as well.
Okay.
I think the population moving to the Gold Coast, we're the only yacht club on the Gold Coast. We're probably the only private marina, as in we don't have commercial fishing tours or whale tours. I think people are looking at parking their boat at a venue that's nice, clean, tidy, that has a club attached to it where they can go in and feel like they're part of the team. And also the privacy, you know, not having 50 people walking past their boat going on a fishing tour each day. I think that's probably what sets us apart a little bit. But then also the main key for the Southport Yacht Club is the community. We invest $1 million a year in, as I said before, youth sailing, disabled sailing. We don't want to stop that. We're a non-for-profit sports club, and we want to grow, you know, the sport of sailing, and that's what we're here to do.
Yeah. So, dare I ask the question, staff? I mean, I know you're also on the Gold Coast Regional Jobs Committee. And I think the question of staff and skilled employees is a really big one at the moment. Just can you talk me through how you're going with that?
Yeah, it's been a nightmare in some areas. The front of house in the restaurant has been very difficult over COVID. My chef has been fantastic with his kitchen staff, but the worms just turned on that. He's having a few problems in the kitchen, and my front of house is going fine. So sailing staff is always difficult because, well, you need to have the expertise of sailing, so that also limits the bucket. But probably the biggest factor in the whole thing is accommodation. We've lost a few staff because they can't afford to live on the Gold Coast. And I think that's probably the biggest factor at the moment is recruiting good staff from other areas to your club. But then when they look at accommodation, they can't afford or can't find any.
Yeah, I think that's a consistent concern that a lot of people are trying to work on at the moment, but not an easy fix either. So you've been back now on the Gold Coast for about 20 years. Tell me, Brett, what keeps you here? What makes you passionate about the Gold Coast? And
Yeah, I've been lucky to live in, as you mentioned before, Japan, UK, New Zealand, America, and they're all great spots. They all have good parts of them, but I'm not, I moved here to the Gold Coast in 1978 when I was 4. Lived at Helensvale Golf Club, which was way out in the sticks back then. Now Helensvale's in the middle of town.
Yep.
And I just feel the diversity. I mean, in an hour's time, you can be, rainforest, you can be out surfing, you can be on a boat, and just a variety. I have 2 small young children, 12 and 15. You look at the weekend and go, what do we want to do? Do you want to go bushwalking? you want to go to the beach? Do you want to go go-karting? Do you want to go play golf? Do you want to play tennis, netball? And you can hop in your car and be anywhere within 5 minutes. So I think that's a key, where when all the other countries I've lived, even Florida was very similar to the Gold Coast, but doesn't have the mountains. It's very flat. Japan has great food, but, hard to get around due to the population. So I think probably just the diversity and also the weather, but actually the people. New Zealand I love. The people there were fantastic, but you're going back 50 years. That's how I felt. I lived in the South Island, which was really a great part of my life. But I think the people here, it's, everyone's happy.
Yeah, that's right. Well, why wouldn't you be? We've got the best climate.
That's right, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so you're also on the regional RDA Gold Coast. You're a committee member of ours.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk us through a little bit about how that's going? And
it's been definitely an education for myself to see other parts of the industry on the Gold Coast. I mean, I never knew anything about, not too much about the construction industry, the medical industry, the aerospace. So for me, coming in as sort of an advocate for the marine, I know marine back to front, but I think, definitely understanding that there's so many other businesses on the Gold Coast, industries, that probably from my point of view, I always thought about Gold Coast as just tourism, but probably my biggest eye-opener is it's about industry now.
Yeah,
and industry, if they did the sums, is probably bringing in more money than tourism. So I think that if we can somehow get that word out to the average Joe and Blow that is, in their little bubble playing golf like me and going to work and not realising that you got the medical industry here is just amazing. We're building rockets at Helensvale to go to space. I mean, all those things that probably the common person doesn't know about. I think that's what we need to focus on, getting that out.
True. Look, I want to thank you for your time on the committee as well, and on the Regional Jobs Committee. I know you've got a lot on your plate, and I want to congratulate you for everything that you've been doing. And you're so passionate about the Southport Yacht Club, but you're even more passionate about the Gold Coast, and that comes through. So I want to thank you for all you're doing, and I'm going to enjoy many years of you being on the committee for your sins. Thank you.
No, thanks, Estella. As I said too, like, that committee's been good for me. I've learned so much, which makes me an advocate for all those other industries that when I'm talking to people. As I mentioned the other day, I had a good friend of mine, you helped me, and we got him a job at the rockets, building rockets. He loves it, and he's still there, and he said it's the best job he's ever had. So little things like that, it sort of gets the wheel turning and gets the word out. So, but it's been great for me on that committee. So I have to say thank you as well.
Well, on that note, I'll catch up with you at the next meeting. Thank you very much, and thanks for chatting today, Brett. Enjoyed it.
Thanks, Estella. Bye now.
Bye. Thanks for listening today. For a complete list of podcast episodes and transcripts, go to rdagoldcoast.org.au/podcasts. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter.